When Andrew Wiggins was selected with the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft this summer, he extended a pretty interesting streak, making it 13 straight years that at least one son of a former NBA player has been selected in the draft. It was actually Mike Dunleavy Jr. who started the father-son streak in 2002. Further proof that sometimes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. A father-son bond is unlike any other, and as MYCHAL Thompson, father of Klay Thompson, explains, when you add the shared experience of the NBA to the relationship, it's just the icing on the cake.
Raising a child is much tougher than winning a championship because you have so many things to worry about. The child's safety, health. Raising a child is 24 hours a day. Playing basketball is only 5 to 6 hours a day, so that's the easy part. My name is MYCHAL Thompson, former champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, the father of Klay Thompson, future champion for the Golden State Warriors. As a young child, Klay was a typical kid. He was always outside shooting baskets in the backyard. I realized Klay had special talents in youth basketball. When he picked up the ball, he always could shoot, always could dribble, had very good speed. I knew if he worked at it and kept the passion of the game up, he could go a long way. I realized he really had what it takes when he was a sophomore in high school and he was on the varsity team and he was upset. He thought that he should be starting in front of a senior. He would say to me, "Man, I'm better than this guy. I should be starting in front of him." It's just a confluence of emotions that run through you when you watch your child play, especially at the highest level. When you're out there as an athlete, you can control what's going on for the most part. But when you're a parent sitting up in the stands, everything's out of your control. When things are going well, you're bursting with pride. When things are going bad, you're just agonizing. As a young child, Klay was very introverted, quiet. He would just go off by himself and we'd look around, well, where's Klay? And he'd be off in some corner with all of his little nursery rhyme books around him, just sitting in the corner reading, looking at all his books, entertaining himself. In this photograph, he came over to me. He wasn't quite happy. He didn't like having his picture taken. He was very active as a kid, always running around. He wanted to go play. Klay does not seek the spotlight or attention. But I always tell him, even though you don't want to sit there and talk to the media for hours, they have a job to do also. Klay is doing better. As he gets further along in his career, he understands now there's more demands on his time with the media, so he's making himself more accessible and seems to be enjoying the experience. I always remind him, you have to work hard for anything in life. Never take anything for granted and make the most of this.
Back here with George Karl and Antonio Davis, two NBA greats and two great fathers. And as you see in that piece, obviously, I don't know the bond between a father and son, but both of you guys do. And George, you have a son who played both in the NBA and now plays overseas. What was it like to have a son as a former player and a coach and him wanting to play basketball throughout his life?
I call it a gift. I think it was the gift of the basketball gods because, many, many nights I took Kobe to the gym and he was at all the games. He was a ball boy in Seattle. And I can just remember so many nights where I was hoping he was listening and talking to and respecting the honor of what he was going through. And my greatest thrill was he wasn't a great high school player. He wasn't highly recruited. I actually had talks with him to go to Division II, Division III basketball, and he said, no, I'm going Division I. And he finally got a scholarship to Boise State, and he played very well at Boise State. He's in the top 10 in like 10 different categories. And when you would see him play in a game, and there were maybe 5 times in his career he was the best player on the court, it was such a thrill for me. It was just such a gift to see, that your kid is a good player, a smart player, a committed player, a good teammate, and he's still playing in Germany today.
Antonio, you have a daughter and son who are playing in college right now. What's the biggest challenge having kids who are going after a dream that you achieved?
Well, the biggest thing for me is just try to be support. I think I've tried to let high school coaches, college coaches do their job. I realize that as a parent, for me, is to be an extension. The same thing that they're preaching, I'm trying to preach, but I'm also trying to give them some insight and some wisdom And more than anything, the thing that I had was just to go out each and every day, have that driving force to just try to get better. You know, each day presents its own challenges, but each day also presents its own opportunities. So I wanted them to just take opportunity and just get better. You know, we were just outside laughing. I said I tried to teach them everything that I didn't know how to do. You know, put the ball on the floor, shoot the ball, you know, be a great passer. You know, I don't want my son down there banging, neither do I want my daughter down there banging. So teach them how to play the game.
I mean, did you ever have to deal with them having concerns living up to the legacies that you both have?
Sometimes in high school, I thought Kobe, some of the fans were, you know, they were pretty mean to Kobe because, as I said, he wasn't a great player in high school. He was a good player, but not a great player. And a lot of times there's some cruel commentaries, and I didn't see every game. But in general, the game has been a blessing to him, and I think he's going to be a coach someday. I think he's going to try the profession of coaching, which is probably going more excited. Hopefully, someday we'll sit on the bench together, and I don't know if he'll be head coach or I'll be assistant coach. But I know he thinks he can outcoach me, so I don't think there's any problem of his confidence. But I think he will follow in and try to be a coach someday.
Well, Antonio, you work very closely with both your son and daughter, who are in college right now, on their development. Big storyline going on around the NBA is the development of young people and how AAU may be putting American-born players at a disadvantage. What's your take on that?
You know, I think they're right. You know, when I played overseas, we practiced twice a day, gave me an opportunity to go in the morning and lift weights and work individually. Then, you know, take a nap and then come back in the evening and work with the team. So it's really a huge advantage. I coached my daughter and my son pretty much all the way up until, you know, my daughter till she was older, probably 15, 16. My son, I stopped closer when he was 13 or 14. And it's the same thing. You know, I didn't want to walk in the gym and people start comparing. We're two different type players. You know, I was a big banger. I wanted to rough people up. He's just the opposite. You know, he wanted to be a playmaker. He wanted to be out there, you know, knocking down shots. So it's just two totally different things. But if we don't correct this one, Coach, and I know you kind of feel the same way, if we don't correct this, we can slowly start seeing the change of foreign players coming in because it's starting to be more of a skilled game. You have to understand the nuances of the game nowadays. It's not just all about physically being bigger, stronger, and faster.
What do you think, George?
Well, I think the world is loving the game of basketball, and it's a compliment to, I think, America, because I think our coaches have done a great job of going around the world and showing the game and teaching the game and mentoring the game. But, you know, China and India, there are billions of people in those countries that haven't really found the game yet. And if they do fall in love with the game of basketball, I think you're going to see more international players coming to America. So I think in that way, I think we got to change it. I mean, I think college coaches are not happy with the system. Pros aren't happy with the system. You know, parents, I think maybe are too engaged with the system to the point where we got to have a plan, we got to have a philosophy, and get our guys back in the gym. The gym is where you learn the game, where you play the game, and I think too much of our players today, it's hype and spin more than it is the work that I think the European players do day in and day out.
Well, I'm sure your children are very happy you helped them learn the game of basketball. And I mentioned two NBA greats, but also two very great fathers. So you should be proud.
I'm very proud.